Morning and welcome to this week's Isn't It Live Facebook Live show. Today we're talking self-sabotage, why we do it and how to overcome it. So welcome everybody this morning to the show. It's really quite exciting. I think I counted, this is like my 25th that I've done so far this year. And I'm loving doing them. I hope you are enjoying them too. Wherever you are this morning, I hope you are well. For anybody living out west, we are sending you our love. We have a little bit of cloud this morning. I just wish it would rain. I know those in the southern states, morning Louise, I know those in the southern states are experiencing another winter chill today. My dad was bemoaning on Tuesday that the golf isn't good at the moment. We certainly here on the Gold Coast are experiencing. Good morning, Donna. Yeah, it's just gorgeous this morning, isn't it? It's just really, really lovely. Jerry woke up this morning and said, "Is it cold outside?" I said, "No, actually, when I walked this morning, it was really quite lovely and warm." So we're having a lovely winter here, you know, north of Sydney. But I know for everybody else, it's a bit challenging. So bucketing in Melbourne today, Jen. I know I heard, would you believe this morning, I was up at 4:15. I was interviewed for 3AW in Melbourne, and about EFT and using it, helping farmers with it, and they were talking about how cold and wet it was. So yeah, we're a bit fortunate. We just don't say anything. Don't say anything. We're going to say anything because we don't want to put the mocks on it. You know, it's lovely right now. I hope you're well wherever you are. Let me know how your week's been this week. Tell me about it, because I tell you, there's some funny energy coming out. And, you know, we're talking in lunar eclipse and people are talking about Mars in retrograde and Mercury in retrograde. And I know it's funny, isn't it? I kind of never really bought into that stuff, but it's when you have a week where everything goes wrong or it's challenging, you go, where are the planets? So tell me how you've been going this week. If you're having some challenges, we can certainly help deal with it on the show today as we talk about sabotage. Now, this is a topic that's actually, as a strategist, as a life coach and strategist, I'm helping people deal with this all the time. I don't know what it is, but we do it to ourselves. And I put my hand up too, because I tend to do it a lot as well. And so today we're going to talk about what are the 6 aspects of self-sabotage. And if you can relate to some of these, just, you know, let me know, just pop a comment in and I can expand on it. I'm very conscious of time today. I want to try and keep these shows just to 30 minutes each week and want to always try and get a tapping session or something in at the end. I'm very conscious of your time. All righty, so let's talk about self-sabotage. So why does it start? Well, you know, it's really interesting. It's self-sabotage is really about vulnerability. And interestingly enough, it's quite a treacherous road to navigate. And self-sabotage requires you to kind of really get into asking questions. You know, it's that rejection or the disappointment. You know, you're feeling really good. You've set all your goals. You feel like you're on purpose, and then just something happens and can be enough to have you going, that's it, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This is too hard, blah, 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 blah. And it's just sabotage. That's all it is. So the thing about for you who join me each week, I know you are the type of people who are working to become a better you. And to reclaim the who you are, really. And as I say to clients all the time, you have to remember that you are in a very elite group of people, that people who work on themselves, we're actually in the minority, not the majority. Now, it may seem like you're in the majority because of the types of people you tend to hang out with on Facebook, in the groups you join. But really, you know, a lot of people kind of walk around and they're not really connected to who they are. So part of this is being very kind and compassionate to where you are and what you're trying to achieve. And as you know, I'm a great Dr. Joe Dispenza fan, and he always ends this meditation with, you know, have kindness and care and be compassionate to yourself. And I think that's something to keep in the back of your mind when you're beginning to self-sabotage. Just have a look at, what's really going on for you. All right. So what happens to us to cause us to self-sabotage? Well, when we're creating change, we're out on a limb. We have no point of reference. So if you are, for instance, you want to achieve a financial goal, you want to perhaps expand your business, whether that be in network marketing or whether it be in your own business, in any sales, whether even that be in real estate, and you want to up your level, that's quite a rarefied atmosphere as you begin to work up the levels. And because you've never been there before, it can really feel sometimes like it is just isolating, especially if you're creating change that is involved being different from your family and friends. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So your purpose, when you're on purpose, is a precious place to be, and it requires care and kindness and compassion. Because, as I said before, it's a lot to do with feeling very vulnerable. And then that's when we begin to self-sabotage, because vulnerability and success can feel very uncomfortable. Our brain will go back to helping us find those things of comfort. So it could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be, I'm not going to get out of bed this morning and go for that walk, even though I said I was. I don't want to. So you've got to really think about, this is a lot of brain-based stuff that you're battling with. And that's why I always in the 2 and 20 principle, I talk about the 4 pillars. So it's, the health and wellness, exercise and energy, inner work and spirituality and productivity. So all those have to work together. And when you're working up through through your levels of success, you've got to be kind of making sure you're spending time in each of those areas: health and wellness, what you're eating, how you're keeping your nutrition up and eating for energy. Exercise, of course, as you know, I'm a great exercise devotee, and so I really truly believe that if we exercise well and within reason, not being silly about it, but at least 20 minutes a day, that it helps to make you think clearly, more clearly, helps you kind of get through some stuff. If you've got problems going on. Morning, Tracy, lovely to see you. If you've got issues going on, sometimes a good walk will just get you some clarity. Of course, your inner work all the time, journaling, tapping, meditation, has to be every day. And of course, productivity, looking at ways to unplug so you're not kind of constantly thinking about what other people are doing. So let's look at the 6 aspects that can cause us to self-sabotage. The first one is, as I just mentioned before, is vulnerability in change. It can feel very raw and uncomfortable, and being on purpose or stepping into success means we have to put our real self on show. I had this discussion with one of my clients yesterday, who's coming on board for another thing. We're doing some work in women in leadership in the corporate arena, and one of the things we talked about was about this, the change that's happening in business and in corporate life, but also online, where authenticity is the thing to be doing. So, people want to know who you are. They want to know who you are behind the brand, and that can, if you've been the type of person that hides behind a brand or has hidden in the past for not putting yourself on show, that can be a cause of self-sabotage, where that just gets too scary. So that's number 1. Number 2, it's a way to control your own failure. Do you know, by self-sabotaging, it's like you're controlling the failure. It's like you're not putting yourself out there to be ridiculed or criticized if you fail. It's a way that we can control it. I used to see this a lot because my background is in fitness and health, and I was a aerobic instructor, fitness trainer, and TV show host and all that stuff for a number of years. And I used to see this all the time with people who would do really well on a weight loss program. It's why I'm really against challenges and all that stuff, because they just don't get to the real issue. That's a whole other point. It's a whole other story. The minute they started to lose weight, it felt very unsafe for them because people started noticing them, or people would start commenting. And it was like, this was very raw out there. And you often find people would say things like, oh gosh, you're looking so wonderful. Have you lost weight? Oh. Or they'd say, you've lost a lot of weight. You're looking a bit drawn, you know? And it was like this, you know, Maya Angelou's is pecked to death buttocks. So sort of being out there and feeling vulnerable, if we control our own failure, let's stay on the weight loss goal, for instance. Set a goal to lose weight. You're feeling uncomfortable, feeling very vulnerable, it's feeling unsafe. People start to look at you a bit differently. It's a lot easier to start eating again. So I'm not going out there. I'm just comfortable who I am. I'm comfortable in the shadows. And that leads me to the next point, which is the tribal need. Being on your own is scary and lonely, especially when it comes to your purpose. And rather than being different, we can retreat into that just being like everybody else. You know, that saying, misery loves company. Sometimes if you're kind of, yeah, exactly. Bigger people, especially women, tell you, look, John, lost too much weight. I know, right? Right? You're feeling really good. You're feeling great. Your clothes are fitting really well. You're looking a bit drawn. You know what? My mother used to say that, bless her heart. You don't want to lose too much weight because it takes away, you know, just kind of makes your cheeks sink or something. I can't remember which it was. Something like that. Just don't lose too much weight. All right, let's talk about the tribal need again. It's sometimes easier to stay like everybody else. Now, if you're hanging around people who tend to be a bit negative, even though you don't want to be, sometimes it's like that misery loves company. You know, you kind of just, you feel safer in that arena. I find sometimes if I'm hanging around negative people, I can very easily slip into their way of doing things. I can, you know, trying not to be negative when you're surrounded by lots of negative people can feel so isolating. You have to stand in your own truth, and that's tough. You know, that gets hard because when you're speaking differently, when you're trying to be different, speaking differently, the brain has to work harder to do that. So you can fall easily back into old patterns. And if you're hanging around groups of people, sometimes it's just too hard to try and be different. You know, sometimes it's just easier just to be like everybody else instead of having to, you know, especially I know a lot of people here that watch the show are in network marketing. You'll come up against this quite a bit, I think, especially if you want to go up the ranks in your particular marketing area. And, you know, people will kind of be commenting. So it can be really difficult. And that self-sabotage could keep pulling you back, you know, not making that call, you know, you need to, because, oh God, you know, I'm sick of putting up with people telling me, you know, who do I think I am and why don't I just get a real job? Number 4 is often we can create drama from fear. You know, when something doesn't go right, we can start to look at blaming everybody else. You know, you can kind of every day, Jen. And that can trigger that self-sabotage. Creating the drama from fear. You know, when you're out there on a limb, you're trying to change, whether that be weight loss or going up a rank in your organization or making more money, and it doesn't happen. That's a really good point, Louise. I've noticed that sometimes, I'm going to show this one. I noticed that sometimes if you resist the temptation to join in to be negative, they try and pull you in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you know what happens, don't you, is because what they're doing is they don't like you to change. That's too uncomfortable for them. So it's like they don't want you to upset their apple cart. You know, let's use the weight loss analogy again, for instance. If you come from a family that's comfortable in being 5 or 10 kilos overweight and you begin to lose weight, it forces them to have to look at what's possible. And that a lot of people don't like that. As I mentioned right at the beginning of this show, you have to remember you're one of the very few % of people who are working to change yourself. And so we can tend to get caught up in that, negative. You're confronting them and that's when I'm going to move on to the next point, actually, you're confronting them to change themselves. Now, I'll just go back to creating drama from fear. So things aren't going right and you're feeling uncomfortable and unsafe, you're getting cranky and you yell at the kids because their rooms aren't tidy. Or you get cranky with your husband because he's put something away and you can't find it. We'll find a way to create the drama. And then you go, right, see, this is all too hard. I just can't do this. How can I do this by myself? No one supports me. We'll go right down that whole rabbit hole. Because I know I've done that in the past. I have to do everything. No one helps me. I never get to be able to do what I want to do. Creating the drama. All it was fear. It was just fear for me. Donna, let's have a look at what your comment here. That looks really cool. My power statement is never lower your values to be friends or join the cool kids because they will not be your supporters and bring you down. Always be true to yourself. Very good. Yeah. And sometimes that's, got to remind yourself of that daily. That's the key, isn't it? You just got to keep saying that wonderful power statement, finding that I am statement in that moment when things are coming down. I had an issue this week where that happened for me. I said yes to something, trying to be a people pleaser, and it didn't end up well. And I felt like I hadn't done a good enough job. And you know what? I got cranky. I can't do this. I've got too much to do, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to have a glass of wine at 4:00. I was like, had it. And I realized it was just me creating the drama out of fear. I'd put myself out then a limb and hadn't gone the way I thought it would be. I went straight back into fear. I can't do this. Who do I think I am? Blah, 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 blah. So look around where you're creating the drama from the fear. Number 5 is honoring family folklore. Now, when people say to you, we're just who we are, remember where you came from. We're not like that. We don't talk about things like that in our family. And we're striving consistently to not disappoint our parents. Isn't it the funniest thing? My dad is 86 and I'm often finding myself getting caught up in that. Still that little level of me, still that little part of me that still wants my dad to say, gee, you're doing a good job, or that, of course it's not going to happen. Love him to death, but it's not going to happen. So, where is this happening in your life where you are, I'm just trying to get something not working properly here. Why is it not showing? Why is that not showing? Let me just have a look. Oh, yeah. What will the neighbors think? Let's go. What will the neighbors think? Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I've got something going on with my thing this morning. Here we go. Let's go. We're back on track. Yes, what will the neighbors think? Who do you think you are? We don't do that in our family. We're just ordinary people. Or, you were never like that. That's not how I raised you. All those things when we're trying to step out of our comfort zones can bring up that self-sabotage. And as I said, looking at, am I still looking to honor my parents? Am I still looking for that pat on the back? That's probably never going to happen if you come from a family like I come from. But that's okay. He does. He's very proud of all of us. It's just not on his repertoire to say it, So look around where you're honoring family folklore, where it's uncomfortable to step out of your comfort zone because that's not the way we do things in our family. And of course, number 6 is the imposter syndrome. I did quite a few interviews this week on the imposter syndrome. The press loved the imposter syndrome. We're looking at the aspects of the imposter syndrome. If you haven't read it, I would really recommend getting Emma Isaac's new book, the gal that started Business Chicks, called Winging It. She talks a lot about this, where most of us don't know what the heck we're doing. Most of us are winging it. But the imposter syndrome, that comes up when we begin that self-sabotage. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Who do I think I am? So I'll just run quickly over the 6 to 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 aspects of the imposter syndrome: the perfectionist. We hide behind perfection. If it's not perfect, I'm not going to do it. We do it because our inner world is out of control. I think I've done a Facebook Live on the imposter syndrome. Let me know if you want me to do a whole one, but I'll just briefly touch on this. The superwoman or superman. Hands up. Superwoman. Oh, yes, of course, I'll take on that project. Yes, sure, no problem. I can do it. Pick your kids up from school. No problem. I can help you out. You're the one that's always running and doing more. You've got to do this that looks like a manifesto. The problem with a superwoman and superman, but let's say superwoman, is you run the risk of a breakdown because you can't keep going at that level and you end up with adrenal fatigue. So look that you're not trying to get caught up in being busy, and look that you're not trying to prove yourself by helping others out. That's Superman, and putting other people's needs before yours. We'd love to see one. Okay, cool, Jen. All right, we might put that down for next week. The imposter syndrome. I love it. It's one of my favorite topics, and every time I speak on it, it's like the whole room, the pin will just drop. It's just incredible. So 1, 2, superwoman. 3, the reluctant genius, and that's aligned with the perfectionist. The reluctant genius is someone who's naturally good at things, but holds themselves back all the time until they're perfect. Like my daughter is one, and if she's applying for a job, even though she's very good at a whole heap of things, there'll be a criteria of, say, 20 things you have to have. She'll pick number 15. So I can't apply for that job because I'm not good at that. They really hold themselves back, the reluctant genius. We've got to be very careful. If you're raising a child who's, Kathy, if you're raising a child who's naturally good at things, to make sure that what's that, and we can talk about that on another show, but have a look at, be careful what you say to your kids about, oh, you're so good at that. Just be very careful and mindful of how we treat our kids who are good at naturally good at things, because they often don't think they are. They often believe they have to work really hard. Number 4 is the rugged individualist. This is the person who will not delegate for fear of finding out if they can't. People finding out that they can't actually cope, or finding out that they actually don't know what they're doing. And number 5 is the expert. This is the one who continues to do course after course after course. I get a lot of this in EFT, people looking for more and more courses in certification and all that stuff, where, EFT, you need to know what to do, but it's really a lot about who you are. And I've seen a lot of this in that area. People they won't step out. They just don't feel they're expert enough. I used to work for a guy like this, and he had numerous bachelor's degrees, numerous master's degrees, including an MBA, plus he was doing his PhD. Like, oh my God, could you just see him on this kind of rabbit thing going round and round in circles? So just watch for that expert. That will just arise when you don't feel you're enough. A lot of this comes back feeling you're enough. All right, so how do we overcome this? Number one to overcome this is understanding your story. What's the story you're bringing to your world? And again, another great book I've just finished reading, Rising Strong, Brené Brown. She talks about this a lot. I just finished the audio book on it. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I've actually ordered a copy, and I'm going to give it to my daughters for Christmas. Brilliant book. And she talks a lot about this, is how we bring our old story. We get triggered by our old stories. And so when you are in that moment of self-sabotage, it's really about, okay, what's going on? What's my old story? So when this thing happened to me this week, I went back to an old story, which was, I'm never going to be good enough. No matter what I do, I can never get it right. That was an old story that I've been carrying for as long as I can remember. So when you know what that is, an old story, you can stop it. You go, oh, hang on, wait a minute. I'm telling myself an old story again. That's why journalists, journaling is so important. Gets that stuff out of your head, down on paper. Remember a thing about journaling. I got asked this question during the week. Your journaling should be something. You remember when we used to keep diaries as kids? I had one when I was a little girl. My mum bought me, and had the key in it. You locked it and you hid it. My mum probably knew where the key was and used to go and read it. But your journaling is not for anybody else to read. My husband says to me, I'd never be able to read your journal anyway. I can't understand your writing. And that's a good thing. But it really is your personal way of clearing your mind. So getting into that habit of journaling and, of course, tapping, which we're going to do in a minute, help you understand the story behind the self-sabotage. And the number 3, this is a daily thing. It's not like you kind of get it and just, I don't do that anymore. It's not. Every time you go up a level in anything, you're going to hit that self-sabotage button again. And it could be in your weight. It could be in your career and finances. It could be in your relationships. You might be in a relationship that's going really well, and all of a sudden you'll begin to find fault in a person, which is really self-sabotage, because that's a fear, fear of, something in the past that could have happened. I see this a lot with people who are looking for a new relationship. They'll sabotage the one. They'll find fault with the new person. So it's a journey, not a destination. It's something you need to work on every day. And because, I'm always talking about this, be very mindful of when it happens. When it happens, that's why tapping and journaling every day is so important. You can pick yourself up really quickly. You can get it. So recognize it's a journey, that just because you've cleared one aspect of it doesn't mean you've cleared all of them. So remember, when you are in it, it's just something that's coming up. Now, again, if you're stuck on this, I have some spots open again. If you want to have a chat, let me know. I've got a 30-minute strategy session. We can have a chat about what your self-sabotage is and find the story, and we can have a look and see if and how I can help you release it. A little freeze then. I hope that's okay. Oh, paste. And what's going on? Oh, Mercury. Who's in retrograde? I'm not sure who it is. I don't know who it is. There. The link is there. If you want to have a chat this week, let me know, see if and how I can help you. There it is. All right. Now we are top of the hour again. Top of the hour. Let's do a tapping session to finish. I want you to pick something you are sabotaging yourself in right now. I want you to pick it. What are you sabotaging right now? And I want you to, for a moment, feel where you can feel that, where that truth sits. I know I'm sabotaging this. What are you doing? Are you spending too much time on Facebook and scrolling? Are you cleaning your fridge when you should be making a phone call? Are you, you want to lose those few kilos, but, you just can't seem to get started? What is it? What are you sabotaging? I want you to just keep that in your mind. Write it down. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to measure the fear. What is it? What am I fearful of? I'm going to say I'm fearful of shining. Fearful of shining. Again, it's your purpose. Oh, so I just got an aha then. Interesting. Okay. See how it works? All right. Let's tap on this. I'm going to use the word shining, but you can use whatever you want. Okay. So even though I have this fear of shining, I'm fearful of what others might think. And I know I'm sabotaging this. I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though I have this fear of shining, it just makes me feel I'm all alone. I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Even though I have this fear of shining, I know it's an old story, but I can feel the fear deep in my stomach. I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. Here we go. This fear of shining, I know it's an old story, This fear of shining. I feel this in my gut. Sometimes it's overwhelming. I'm fearful of what they might say. My fear of shining. Okay, take a deep breath and just let it go. Okay, now in this, with tapping, it's always we're looking for the story. We're looking for the memory. So for this week, see if you can uncover more of the fear of the story. See if you can uncover what's the moment, what happened. For me, a lot, I go back to the same story when I was about 10 years old and got up to sing in front of the whole school and forgot the words, and everybody laughed at me. There's a lot of aspects around that for me. And I've tapped on a lot of them, not just one. There's a whole lot of things. So some of these stories you might have worked on before and you're thinking, oh, really? Is this coming up for me again? Work on it again. You might have got an aspect of it. All right, let's do a quick reframe around to pull out the I am statements. Remember, the I am statements are very, very powerful. Write these down every day in your journal if you can, after you've done some tapping. We might just go straight into it, just for time purposes. Tapping. I choose to feel powerful. I choose to feel safe and powerful. I am powerful. This is my time to shine. I know this fear is linked to an old story. I choose to release this now. I choose to shine. I am powerful beyond measure. Take a deep breath and let it go. Okay, see if you can pull out some I am statements for that. I am powerful. This is my time. I am ready now. When you pull out those I am statements, it's about, one of my clients has actually written hers on a bathroom mirror, which I thought was really cute. My cleaning lady would think it was hilarious, but whatever. But, and it was, remember, it's I am. So the words that follow I am follow you. I am powerful. I am strong. This is my time. When the doubt comes up, don't just plow through it. Tap on the doubt because the story's right there. It's about getting to the story. Because when you find the story, then that's that daily habit that we was talking about. That's what's going to... that's what will clear it. It's the different stories. Like this thing that happened to me during the week, when I recognized what had gone on, I thought I dealt with that need to please thing. Well, obviously I hadn't. But once you recognize it, you can clear it. That's the beauty about it. You can just clear it. All right, lovely friends. It is 8:03. We are past time. Let me know if today has helped at all. And Jen, well, I'm going to put that in the calendar. We might do the imposter syndrome, really delve into the imposter syndrome next week. It is so huge. And as I said, every time I speak about it, I can hear a pin drop. I am ready, Louise. You go for it. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I am ready. Be very mindful of those negative people this week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And thank you again for joining me every week. I really, really do enjoy it. It's great. So thanks again. You're welcome, Donna. Thank you for being here every week. Thanks, Jen. I look forward to seeing you. I'm talking at the moment about coming to Melbourne, so hopefully we'll get to catch up at some stage. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, no matter what you're doing. And in all those in the southern states, a good book might be the thing this weekend, and to be doing your journaling. Have a wonderful week, everybody. I'll talk next week. Bye for now.